Hello and welcome to episode 207 of the FReality Podcast. Here we gather around a dwindling flame, embers slowly burning in a soot-stained fire pit, as the last hours of a summer barbecue slide off the clock, with the world of VR and AR masquerading as ever-lengthening shadows, blending with the creeping darkness, as if this was 1990. We're partaking in the movie Ghost. So be worried, for Death's agent sits lurking right around a frail, ethereal corner. If you haven't died and gone to heaven by now, then you're either in the wrong queue, or you're one of many VR fans whose prayers have been forsaken by one of several foul deities. Dearest students of the cloth of FReality, I hope you all studied your hymn books over the last fortnight. Today's hymns in session will be, Jesus died for your Quest Pro, great is thy Unreal Engine faithfulness, and all hail the power of Firewall.
Wow. Wow. I'm feeling like I'm in like the audiobook FReality show, and like Zim is like the one who's going to like talk for like 2.5 hours now, go through 7 chapters of like a certain book, like, and I just like slowly drift away.
That's exactly what you should do. Just drift away. We'll do the ceremony just after it. Yeah. And towards the end of all of this, choir director Nathy is going to belt out notes.
Choir director. Do I need to sing the releases?
You will have to sing them, every single one.
Wow.
And from the upcoming releases songbook near the end of today's spiritual broadcast, and together we're going to shelter in a virtual reality commune that's like AR House, but serving rice for dinner instead of risotto. All right.
Wow. As long as you have curry, I'm good with it, you know?
Curry sounds lovely. That really does. That's like the AR Curry House, which sounds even better.
Yes, please.
To those out there in the ether watching us live, whether with us on this side of the plane or the other, please share your comments in chat. We do enjoy receiving your handwritten letters here on VR's Frontline. And hey, who are we? Well, FReality is a tight-knit squad, and while being a squatty short, navigating the dense underbrush of this mangrove is wrought with perils and danger, with machetes firmly in hand and war painted by Rambo himself. These are my trusted servicemen in the war against dull news. All right. Rowdy, first up, polmology. What is that, Rowdy? What is polmology?
The study of the poles.
Almost.
The Poles and their earlier empire. I'm a huge Age of Empires fan, so I get the link. They're a very strong cavalry civilization. They have hussars and winged hussars, so you know it's pretty good out there. So I would consider myself a paleontologist. Yes, for sure.
Wow, it's surprisingly close to the truth.
Really?
So, surprisingly. I would have gone with pole dancing, but it's not quite pole dancing. Polmology is the multidisciplinary study of war. You're like spot on. I'm really surprised. He's clearly the smartest of the bunch, right?
Yeah, clearly.
And
you're welcome.
You're excellent. Showing us off again. I throw like crazy stuff from a dictionary at you, and you just get it straight out of the gates. But it pertains to several dimensions of human conflict. And if you've ever seen Rowdy get even slightly irritated, you'll understand where he got his name from. He's a fellow and a gentleman and a hero. But make him mad, and this guy's ready to use all 10% of his available cerebral cortex to Tex-Mex your face. Straight out of anger management, it's Rowdy.
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I know, I see someone in the chat saying Rowdy knows his art of war. That's how I got the name, my friends. That's how I got the names. But no, I've been doing all right. I haven't been playing any VR in the past 2 weeks. There's not really been like anything exciting for me. I'll keep it short. I did go and see Top Gun. Finally, it's apparently still running in the movie theaters. I didn't know it was the highest grossing movie like ever. Like I was told, I didn't know if that was true. I don't know if that's true. Maybe someone can tell me in the chat. But what people say,
that's how easy they get you into the cinema.
Yeah, there were like 4 other people still in the cinema, and I was like, wow, there's 4 other suckers that actually still watch this movie. Yeah. But like I have to say, like I remember. Like when I was watching the movie, like I remember like when I like first in VR got to sit in one of those like cockpits. I think it was a VR tool. You remember that game? VR tool?
Yeah. Oh my God, so good.
It was amazing to really get that feeling of speed and like, I mean, I crashed a lot of planes. I was really bad at it, so maybe that is it. But it did make me like I kind of want something like that again, like a really high speed kind of flight simulator with
modern,
but modern, yeah. Like I don't know, like
can you deal with the speeds? Because being a Battlefield player, like I used to there was a mod called, I think it was called Desert Combat, which you went from like your World War I and II planes, which was like slow Japanese fighters and stuff, to modern, and you just like the maps weren't so big, and you like like right past the map.
Yeah.
But like in VTOL, not VRTO, that's a convention. VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing. Like weren't you controlling everything with like finger presses and button pushes and stuff as well?
So I want something a little bit more like, because I saw people like early say like DCS World and something, which is like hyper realistic, right?
That's
like
very
But I'm not, because I don't have the time, I don't have the patience to like learn all the stuff. Like I want something a little bit more like arcadey, like kind of like what Star Wars did with was it Battlefront?
Yeah. What Project Wingman should have been. Should have been.
Yeah. So, something like that. I remember that like the Lonely Viper made like a great video because he was way better in that game as this, and he took like scenes from Top Gun as well, and it works so well in VR, just like cockpit simulation games. But it would be neat to see something like that in a more like arcadey form, like Star Wars Squadrons. Yeah. Exactly.
I'd like to see you, Rowdy, in like a full cockpit, but they've got an actual ejector seat, and you're fighting, right? And then in the middle of all of this, it literally ejects your chair. Like we've seen those like GIFs and TikToks and stuff of people doing it with the force feedback vibration. Wouldn't it be great if you had an actual ejector seat?
Actual ejection.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
That would make for a great show.
Which VR game had like a Top Gun DLC thing going on again? What was that?
Oh God.
There was something that had a Top Gun DLC, right? Like skins and missions and.
It wasn't Microsoft, the flight simulator.
Microsoft. Yeah, it was Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, it was Microsoft. Yeah,
just a couple months ago, actually. So if you are a Top Gun fan, but yeah, I'm like you, Rowdy. Like I'd like to see something in that space, but just like driving sims, like I want the whole experience there. I don't want to have to go through a flat desktop interface. Like I want to. Like Elite Dangerous, right? Like feel like you're there.
Because I have to say, in the movie, like they really captured speed really well. Like I mean, it's like I went with a friend of mine who recently had like ear surgery, and he was like, holding his ears the entire time because you hear the jets like blasting through the speakers the entire time, which is brilliant at the same time. But it's like, I mean, you really get that feeling for speed, which is awesome in that movie, I think. Yeah.
How was the cinema experience, real quick? Because I haven't been to a cinema since COVID happened. Same deal or anything different?
I don't think it's very different. At least not like here. Like I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to the cinema in Europe again, so it's hard for me to compare it. And I haven't been to the cinema here before COVID, so I don't know how it was here before COVID.
Oh, fair point.
But I mean, it feels fairly straightforward, fairly normal. It wasn't busy at all yesterday. I mean, maybe it was, but just not for Top Gun. Since the movie's already a bit old.
Well, that's good. You get the whole place to yourself,
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best way. I'll tell you one thing we should do as a crew at some point is go to one of those 4D cinemas, and just experience something like that with the smoke and the rumble effects. Some of them aren't very good, so you have to find one that's well rated.
Yeah.
Very good. Sounds like you got yourself rattled a little bit by the wonderful jawline of Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very good. Well, speaking of films, every war film needs a veteran who fights for the right team, but just looks like a bad guy. That man surprises the audience by whipping out a cape in the 11th hour. And this lad over here, he suppresses his superpowers for showbiz and sporting a Mark Twain mustache that glows in the dark. This Flying Dutchman here is here to authorize a surprise ending to the show. How are you doing, Nathy? And what surprises are we in for?
Well, surprises. What do you mean? Like releases? You mean?
I don't know. It could be anything. It could be the fucking candy that you've got on your desk every single day. I was like, that stuff. That surprises me a lot. Actually, the things that you eat that are clearly inedible by humans, but you manage to still somehow survive.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's a miracle that I'm still alive. Of like all the stuff I ate, all the chemical things that were brewed somewhere in I don't know, Chernobyl. Um, but they're delicious. So yeah, I don't know. You gotta live your life.
Yep.
So I haven't really played much VR either. I mean, I was at Gamescom, of course,
Yeah.
to play a lot of VR stuff. But besides that, I haven't really done that much. I mean, maybe closer to Christmas, everyone is gonna launch at the same day, and then I play like 10 games. Have to
Absolutely.
play every game for 5 minutes.
How do you
Tell
feel
you
in
how
this
great
time of
they
the
were.
year? Like you've got the gauntlet coming at you. Like this is like creator.
It's like
For those who don't know, it's like 3 months of just like sprinting, like coming at you. So
it's got like I'm like, let's say if things are more like spread out again, then the industry is kind of healthy. But if things are like just crazy around Christmas and that's it, then like you just like I'm chilling almost the entire year,
yeah.
and then now suddenly I have to run for my life. And if I don't do it, then someone else will. So yeah, we'll see how I handle it. But next year is gonna be pretty crazy because then you juggle between like multiple headsets, right? Where you go from like PlayStation VR, and then you
Yep.
go Quest, and then probably Pico, and then some other headsets that might come out that are interesting. So, and talking about things that are interesting, Darshan from Big Screen,
Oh yes.
he came over.
Oh yes. Yes, I saw this picture with a blurred image. What? But did you say hardware, not software? It was something hardware.
I didn't say anything. Could
It's
be
little
anything.
screen. It's little screen. Little
Little
screen
screen.
VR.
Little screen. Yeah, they launched big screen. Now we're getting it's on your smartwatch, right? You can just watch with your friends.
No, but he came over, and he pretty much traveled around a little bit to show it to all kinds of people. That's like funny. That's kind of like the new standard almost, because the Novio folks from the wireless Valve Index adapter thing, they have also been doing that. It's kind of nice and weird to have people come over.
Come to you instead of you having to go to them.
Usually, what happens is like they say, "Yeah, so we're coming to Amsterdam," and I'm like Amsterdam is not the Netherlands. That's not
Yeah.
how it works. It's like telling me like, oh, we're coming to LA, and then pretend that all the Americans live in LA. Well, you're
Yeah.
actually on the other side of the freaking country. That's kind of like in a nutshell what's happening here. But in this case, like, hey, you can come over if you want. It's up to you. If you want to show it, come over. So he did, and it was really fun. I'm not allowed to say anything. I was allowed to post this picture. I said, like, can I at least make a picture with you and then put like this little Pokemon thing over it to kind of troll everyone and just let them guess what it is. But I do think they are planning to reveal something soon. So
This year?
soon.
I'm trying.
I don't know what
I'm getting
I
out
don't
of
know
it.
what I can say about that, but I'm just gonna say soon to be safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be exciting for sure. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But besides that, yeah, nothing really happening. As I said, like I'm just waiting for maybe November, December, and then yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen again in January. I think then we're just
Yeah.
waiting for PlayStation.
Proper kickoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, very good, very good. Well, chat, our audience is the best. They really are. So while we've been busy talking, I wonder if they've been carpet bombing this podcast with experiences they want to share with us and you. So what have we got in there, fellas? What have
I've
people,
seen like
busying
Red Matter
themselves with?
2 like popping up
Yeah.
quite a few times. Red Matter
boy.
2.
Don't talk to
Yeah.
me about Red Matter. I'm stuck
did-
at the moment.
I did play it a little bit because I didn't have time to play it, but I can only say that the lighting in that game is it's fantastic. They really
Graphically,
outdone
it's
themselves.
amazing, right? Graphically.
It's
Yeah.
really quite spotless, actually, I would say. And that's not easy to do in VR because you have such an eye for detail, especially
Yeah.
if you're in a modern headset, right? Back in the day, PSVR time, you might have been able to get away with it, smudging something over, but very
Yeah.
good.
So besides that, we also have Pyro, who was talking about like our conversation regarding Age of Empires, and then he says, "Brass Tactics was so good, but we need more of it."
Yeah.
100,
I think that
yeah.
was similar to Age
I
of
agree.
Empires. During the boom, was it 2018? The boom of like top-down Like
we had a
strategy
few.
titles. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
we
had
had a
like
few
one from Vertigo
experiences.
as well, I think, from Vertigo. I don't
Yep.
know the name anymore.
Yeah.
But there were a few. I think Brass Tactics was, um, I think it was actually funded by Oculus. I think they're really throwing money at that kind of
That's
stuff.
so weird. When you talked about that experience, Nathan, all of a sudden, most VR people won't have played this, I'm sure, but Mountain Goat Mountain just jumped into my head.
Why?
I don't know if you've played that, but there was
Yeah,
a
I did
VR.
play. It was free.
Yeah, and very addictive. Anyway, it was a mobile
Okay,
game from Zynga
random.
or somebody. Yeah, it was very
Random.
strange.
I
But
think
that
you
just kind of
can.
came into my head.
I think you can still find it on the Oculus PC store, a remnant of the past.
Not a strategy game.
The,
More
the,
more a
the,
mobile
meta,
game.
the meta PC store, as they might call it in the future. Who knows? We also have Buck, who has been playing Resident Evil 4 in Zim's basement. And he doesn't even need a headset for that. So
Right here.
Okay.
It's interesting.
It really has been. Yeah, not even need a headset. That's funny. Well,
Do you keep
Yeah,
a lot
but
of people in your basement, Zim? Like, is it like the entire VR community? Is that your goal? Get them
on
in there?
occasion.
Is that what
Just
Mike
slowly.
is? Is that what Mike is?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just hear the electricity going off. I've just got.
If you listen carefully, you can hear him scream in his Half-Life voice. A few other ones. We have David Kopp, who has been playing Star Wars Squadrons.
Nice.
Great game. I think I played it last week a little bit too. It's amazing. It's still a great game. Then we have Doozy Cat, who says that his nephews broke his PlayStation VR. So now he decided to just wait until the new one comes out, because buying one is kind of like a bad investment.
Don't want to put that. You don't want to put your money into a place that I still remember early on when they just released. I think it was 2016, and there was this picture of a guy he bought the headset, had it for a week, and then his dog ripped it to pieces.
Oh my god!
You know when you feel that pain?
man.
It's kind of like with one dude gets kicked in the nuts, and you feel it. Like it's that phantom pain that you get that exists in VR, and I'm sure we will have felt the same, whether or not one of the new headsets gets put through a tumble dryer or something.
I honestly do think that from a few years from now, like trying to find a PlayStation VR is not necessarily going to be the problem, because there are many of them and they're quite cheap. But finding the Move controllers with that's a different story, because those were even more ancient than so.
Well, the difficulty is there's no replaceable battery in there, so it's just.
Oh, really? Is that true?
No, you have to charge it, right? So the problem with battery-laden devices, unless you are willing to open it up.
And there's no third party either.
Not that I.
Or is there?
There is. One of mine went, and I looked at the repair. It was like a 20-step repair, but it's like one of those iFixit kits where you kind of want to know what you're doing. Like the wires are tiny, the circuit connectors are very fragile, so you can fix it. But I think you're right. I think the moves, even at their peak, they were difficult to get. And hopefully that's all going to be gone with proper VR controllers that we get with PSVR2. So with that, I'll go ahead and skedaddle over to what was my highlight. So as you know, I'm a big fan of Space Pirate Arena. So there is I'll say an Asian developed title, as far as I can tell, called Mission X VR. And it requires a 13 by 13 space, 13 by 13 foot space, as opposed to the 30 by 30 that's required by Space Pirate Arena. Very similar concept, right? You got these doodads around you. So if you have a smaller yard, and I think about comments that our chat have made before, where they're like, especially people in Europe, like you're like, I got a smaller home or a smaller back garden. Like I can't do 30 by 30 unless I go out at night and somebody mugs me. Like it's just not convenient. So I went looking for like another option. And with Buck here, a buddy of mine who's also in the VR community, we got to playing. So I would say it's like an arcadey version of Space Pirate Arena. You choose your weapon, so pistol, rifle, or crossbow. You have a number of colorful arenas, which is nice. So you have kind of your darker kind of space kind of layout. You have like a Western cartoony layout. You have a whole bunch of different things, probably about 6 different maps that are there. Small variety of weapons, no custom level designer, which I really like in Space Pirate Arena, and I think it's super cool, especially when you are able to block out, like my back garden's got a big tree in it, so I can just block that out and avoid it, right? So I've got my 30 by 30 or whatever. But this is really nice because it gives you an alternative. If you got a big room in the house or whatever, maybe give this one a shot. It's called
How was it called?
VR Mission X.
Mission X.
Mission X. And so depending on the number of players that you have around and the number of headsets, you do need a headset per player, of course. There's a Space Hunter co-op, which is a 2v2. It permits multiplayer up to 10 players, so 5v5. I didn't have 10 people with quests to test it out. We just did 1 versus 1. It does have bHaptics vest integration, although I haven't tried that out myself. I don't have a vest, and I wonder if that's integration by audio cable or Bluetooth. I don't know, because then there'd be inherent delays with it. But anyway, it's an option for you if you were looking for something to play with a buddy, at home or in your back.
I think Mission X is like originally they just had it in arcades, right? I think that's where I know it from.
It looks exactly like that, Nathy. So I wouldn't be surprised if 2 or 3 years ago you would have seen it when you were traveling out east and seen it in that environment. But that's one of them. I've got a few more actually later in the podcast that we've got kind of in this space as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But with that, why don't we jump into the battlefield and get on with some news. So,
all right, sounds good.
You guys ready? We're gonna do just to start us off. We're gonna go with some lightweight, belt-fed machine gun news bites to start us off. We got 5 little trinkety bits for you. The first one I'm very excited about for other fellow questers is Infinite Train Set. And this will be a good one when Rowdy is able to hopefully show you off this as well.
I'll be able to show it.
So are you excited about locomotion? Do you really enjoy? Yeah. Do you really enjoy an on-rails experience?
Yeah.
Then this game is for you. Well, this is a surprise because this is a blend between AR and VR. We've seen these titles. Last time we covered off one from Thomas Van Bowel. And this time I wanted to show this one off. This is Infinite Train Set. So this is using the pass-through on the Quest. And you basically have, you have the ability to fabricate a train line with a portal in each of your walls. Very similar to like the original HoloLens demonstration where like spiders, alien spiders would punch through a wall. In this case, you've got the little, hole as if the train's going into a mountain placed in the wall. And then just like if it was like a Mario game where when you run off the screen, you teleport to the wraparound point on the other side of the wall, on a different wall, you come out, it's like Portal, right? It's like the game Portal. So you go in one side, come out the other. In comments on Reddit, there was a user called Superfunk1 who exclaimed about this, seeing the video. Absolutely brilliant. Imagine building a train set that starts in your house, passes through the tunnel in your wall, and shows up in your friend's house, like across the world. You could deliver gifts or whatever else to each other. Kind of like, did you guys ever go to one of those theme restaurants where your food would come by train? Have you ever been in one of those places?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Fun,
I know what you
right?
mean. Yeah.
Where like the little choo-choo train comes along, like you give your order, and then the train comes along with your fries or whatever it is, and kind of neat. So I love this idea of like almost interdimensional sharing, between users. And you can really imagine like AR headset future where you would do that. You'd load up a postcard on a little virtual train. It would go along your desk, kind of like almost like snail mail, but via train rail. And it would end up, like I'd send something to Nathan, it would just appear on his desk in AR, and he's working away, and all of a sudden this little choo-choo train comes with the smoke spiraling up. And
the crazy thing is, to me, is that this already looks like better compared to what like the actual demo was that we saw from Magic Leap. You remember the little rock throwing dude?
Yes,
we
do.
If you look at this, and this is actually using technology that is not specifically made for AR purposes, right?
Yep.
It's kind of impressive, I think.
It is kind of nice, yeah.
What about your recent foray into like city skylines and all of that, right? So you would be able to create a city. So say let's on your desk, and people could relocate from your world because Nathy's is better. So they just decide to bugger off down there, and they move into his world.
Nathy's is better.
Well, he's got all the rides. He's got the Appleton and stuff.
Right, yeah, so, but that's because he buys like those like kind of like packages and stuff that you like pay money for, and I don't participate in that. So that exactly. That's the difference.
Don't give the developers ideas, Rowdy. That's not it. But anyway, that's Infinite Train Set. Looks fun to me, and I think that concept of an extensible game world where you're sharing with friends.
And it would work for so many things, because again, to bring up Age of Empires again, I would love something like this, on like a giant battlefield or like something like that. Yeah, I think it would be awesome.
Yeah. RTSs immediately come into mind, right? So very, very cool. The next one is another pass-through game. So this is a first-person shooter pass-through. And another dev has created an AR FPS, which shows like shrapnel flinging off of your wall onto the bed as he's unloading a gun in the bedroom. And and as this is showing off, you've got an FPS very similar to Super Hot, where like these characters are popping up. Kind of creepy looking, actually, but they're popping up in your house, right? And you're like walking down to the bathroom or whatever. Or if you're this personal dude or lady, this dev has a personal fucking cinema in their house. I mean, like full on cinema and a weight room. Like this person is clearly not a starving dev by any means, right? But I won't complain. If you can give me a first person shooter in my house, that will in future give me PTSD when I simply walk to the bathroom.
Exactly, this is like PTSD simulator. You have people in your house, now shoot them.
Yeah, you got to be careful with this, like especially if you're, one of the gun-toting types, wandering around your house and people popping out, and, like you're training yourself just that it's a shooting gallery.
It is awesome though. Like I didn't know that the Quest could actually do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, recently, a couple months ago, they opened this up to developers, so they're starting to see more and more of this. I haven't played with that personally, which is sad. A lot of it is builds that are behind the scenes, not released yet. And I don't know if there's one of these that is on the store. The nearest one that I know is the one from Resolution Games. Blast On has an AR mode that's in this kind of pass-through black and white, and you can basically game in your living room if you want instead of a fantasy world.
Yeah, but I think that's gonna be a total different, because then we get the whole discussion again of like content moderation and approval and stuff like that. So I think that's not for this generation. Mm-hmm.
But
because you do need to realize it's black and white and it's warped. So having people run around in their house, you still need to be careful that you don't get too close to, because the objects seem to be far away, but they're actually, it's still. There's no depth sensor in the Quest, so you don't have the same,
But for safety, it's really important to have stereo vision. And I remember that from playing with the Quest before they implemented. What they basically have is they generate like a wireframe model, and they map it out so it distorts the mono image that you have in the headset, so that you're not just like hitting yourself on a desk. And it did help. At the beginning, it was totally sporadic, and you would end up with really weird like fisheye views, and now it's better. But I am definitely looking forward to a future with full color pass through and stereo. Full color stereo pass through, I think, is a very important next step.
But it does show that the technology is ready for consumers, I think, because this kind of stuff, like it sells like to investors and sells to like people interested in buying a headset, because this is kind of next level kind of things, right? Like if someone like can like do this, like for example with like a Yu-Gi-Oh or like a Pokemon experience, like
100%. Yeah. No, mint quickly. I still think the first headset manufacturer to give us a headset that works very well outdoors is going to kill, because people, like, if you're having a great time, not everybody, but gamers, right, don't care what they look like when they're having a great time. The droves of people out there holding their phones up like crazy, and it was amazing, the Pokemon experience. So I really look forward to that. So that's the FPS pass-through. Another thing that we saw on Twitter, which was really quite cool, Ruarize, or Rue, known for his work in creating software for Live, showed us a mod for Tilt 5, which we talked about on the last podcast, but a mod for Beat Saber, nonetheless. So we shared this new exciting AR tech, which allows a kind of board game to come to life and give you that stereo depth down into a table. Rue goes on to describe the modded experience as, to me, it feels like Beat Saber is in a hole through my table. Definitely more comfortable for those who can't bear to wear an isolating headset. And for me, again, back to Rowdy's point, this immediately makes me want Company of Heroes or StarCraft for Tilt 5, so I can do tabletop, awesome battles in that kind of comfortable setting where you can still see the real world. I'm starting to really get bought into that. And that's Beat Saber on Tilt 5. We've seen a couple more mods. I like the Twitter universe for Tilt 5 stuff, because there's a bunch of stuff coming out. So
Very
All
cool.
still very early, but very cool ideas, and it definitely starts to open your mind. Like, what can you do with this? I still want to see what someone can do taping one of these to like the side of a wall, and what can you do then, right? Like make it like a window into another world type of thing. Like if you change the landscape, like how would you get that to work? I haven't seen anything do that yet. Another thing where we've seen a bit of a switcheroo after the Fall, very popular game now, right? There's an arcade edition of this. So Springboard VR, who do licensing for arcades. It's about $30 a month in case you happen to own an arcade, or you're looking to go kind of figure out how much you're getting stung for when you go to one of these in person. They do arcade location-based experiences, and after the Fall now has an LBE equivalent. So not just playing it at home, but you can play it in an environment. Why is that good? Because if you don't just, bring your friends or, workmates or something to your house and chill out, you can go to a central place if you're in a big enough city or whatever to have these location-based experiences. So you get full, 4-player co-op, haptic support, kitted out weapons, and easy to use menu. So it's kind of a bite-sized arcaded version of After the Fall. Love to see them having more success. And I am looking forward at some point to further expansions, maybe an After the Fall 2 one day, looking forward to that. So while we're on the topic of shooters, the fifth little news bite is Gunman Contracts, which I feel like only just came out and now there's a big pivot happening. So this, I don't know, tell me if you've heard about this happen to another game, but Gunman Contracts is going standalone. So it started off as a VR Half-Life mod, very much a kind of, again, a shooting gallery, pop-up enemies, get in, get out with your life, but a tough FPS, right? And we got that. It started its life in Half-Life Alyx as a mod, but the developer A&B Seth has confirmed plans not to update the Half-Life Alyx mod. Those are being laid to rest, and is now doing a fully fledged game. I've seen this done with one or two other VR titles, but Gunman Contracts, I didn't expect this transformation so soon. Obviously, it's been very popular. But looking forward to that one. We can probably wait a couple of years, I'd imagine, before that'll be out polished and enough content. But what's there today with the avatars for the non-player characters, the gun mechanics, it all seems to be there. So wishing the developer much luck. Good luck, Seth, on that one. I was curious, did you guys play Contracts? I know I did, but I haven't gotten into it yet. I haven't got into the Half-Life Alyx modding scene myself yet, but
I know
Alyx mods
Viper has played quite a bit of it. Like it's his kind of thing, of course, but like it looks really like smooth and polished. Yeah. I like it.
I'm surprised because oftentimes when devs go for, I'm going to go off and break off on my own away from this game engine, usually the looks take an immediate hit, right? You can tell they've stepped down. But this one is looking quite slick even from the beginning. So good to get a teaser of that. All right. Well, sounds like we should break into the big news now. So let's start us off with what we used to call Oculus Connect. What we call
no. I know.
Facebook Connect.
Yeah, I just want to say I know it as Facebook Connect.
No, it's Meta Connect. Like, let's just keep changing the name, eh? So October 11th, we've actually got a date now. This will be a virtual event. There's no in-person showcase this year, so similar to last year. Sporting both Zuckerberg and Carmack, who continued to show their faces at these events. I'm curious if we'll see Abrash and others in terms of the talks. What's coming that we don't already know? So the event is described by Meta as a one-day virtual event that explores the building of the metaverse, the building of the metaverse.
Building of the metaverse.
The building of the metaverse. I'm accentuating that for a reason. Because this is less show and tell and more, here's what we're working on. And the future of augmented and virtual reality. Note they put augmented first. That's interesting. Industry leaders will share the latest technologies, and developer sessions, which they always have, will cover how to use them. So again, their accentuation here is on, we've got the tools, or the tools are in development, and we're going to talk about them. So these are making me less and less excited, but hey, our goal is to bring the world closer together and deepen human connection through new experiences. We heard about that last time. We were kind of giving you the lowdown on the Joe Rogan podcast with Mark Zuckerberg. I was lucky enough to see 3 of these in person out in San Jose. We've been there together as a crew before. It's really fantastic. And in fact, that's how we linked up with this team for the podcast. Like FReality would not be a feckin' reality without Connect. So it's an important seed for both human and, if you've seen Mark's keynotes, inhuman interpersonal connections. So I really loved Connect in the years that it was like in person. I thought those were really good. It was great being out in a balcony, shooting podcasts there. I miss it. I absolutely miss it.
I think they were also great when they were still called Oculus Connect.
I love that take.
Many moons ago.
Many moons ago.
When they still had a kind of an interesting view on VR.
For me, it's just about the consistency of the brand, and like it's called Meta this year. What's it going to be called next year? That's the thing for me.
But isn't it interesting to from the Connect we have been on? It was just about we show software, we show hardware, we connect the community, and this one I feel like is about we got to save our reputation because the stocks are too low and we got to do something about it.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like. And the trouble is they haven't had a lot of time since the big corporate shift, right? It's been, 6 months or so since the big Meta.
But what do you think they're going to do? Because I think last year we got so much, Mark showed so much concept art of the metaphors, or
it's not only the name that has changed. It's like it used to be like Oculus Connect, and of course Oculus Connect, it was about the product that was Oculus, the Oculus Go, the Oculus Rift, the Oculus, but now it's Meta Connect, and with Meta, that is now the product. What is the product that Meta is putting out, and Quest is just a very small part of that. Meta is the entire universe they're building around the Quest. I think it's the business aspect, it's the AR, it's the technology. It's an investors conference now. I think that's how I see it. And
it's also not just that, because they cancel F8 or whatever earlier in the year. So now this is
F8, right?
Yeah, basically. So they've glued the application dev stuff in here. So it's becoming a little bit more like an Apple keynote. And of course, they've been following Apple's shoes like almost step by step the whole feckin' way. But for me, it definitely reduces my hype for the event because they're doing that. And I can tell you, I get a visual shudder every time I see a Portal device show up. The whole, I just I don't want that in my house, Mark. Thank you. Now I know you're going to laugh at me because there's a Quest, browsing at me right now, watching my every move and mapping my house. But yeah, I don't know. I feel somehow more comfortable with just standard VR and or AR devices. But anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing more about what's been going on behind the scenes R&D wise. I'm always interested in that stuff. The Abrash stuff is usually good. We love, of course, hearing from Carmack and his straight talk. I mean, if you haven't listened to Carmack before, bring coffee, but try to pay attention for 20, 30 minutes. Because what he says is just gold. It's really good. You probably, might appreciate someone breaking it down for you a little bit, after the fact, because he can usually go on for 2 or 3 hours. Yeah. They are also showing in Horizon. Now, in past years, when they did venues before kind of merging everything together, I found those to be very hit and miss. Last year's was more miss than hit.
Connection-wise.
Very weird. It was less live. They had they even had virtual separation of attendees in this virtual environment. It did not feel warm.
Oh, and no. I remember they had Carmack and people could ask questions, and the questions were just scripted. Right. And there was nothing. Everything was just completely controlled, and it was just not genuine. It was just not natural at all. Which was weird because Carmack is he's all about that flow. He's all about that natural flow, just like you would have a comedian. Yeah, but in real life, you cannot necessarily control that, because someone could say, "I'm going to ask something," and then still ask something else, right? But if it's happening in Horizon, they of course want to control that. But I find it surprising that they go for Horizon again, because just like last year and the year before, I can't join, I can't attend Carmack's. You
can't really be part of it. You can't
you can't be a part of it.
Part of it, and that's what we're missing, right? It's about that cohesiveness. It's about that community spirit, and all the events that sprinkle up around it. You eliminate all of that when you go virtual. So I understand from a company perspective why they want to go virtual, but I'm going to implore, bring back the in-person event. I think it's smart.
Do you think they really believe now that they should do it this way? Because first it was, of course, about the pandemic, but now we're talking more about this is the new Well, I mean, they constantly talk about the metaverse, so they kind of also put themselves in the corner of
That's the
putting
thing,
this
yeah.
into a virtual thing. And
I kind of expect like a high quality metaverse kind of conference from them,
yeah,
right? Like if they don't do it, then
Who
what are they
will?
selling?
Who sets the bar?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very good point.
But we got sounds great, but we got Horizon now, so I don't know
I-
how they're
I
gonna
know,
do
I
that.
know.
I know.
Uh,
I know.
It's
It's
gonna
like, it's going to be really interesting to watch. I really
But
believe it's going to be
there's
really
definitely,
interesting to see how
like,
it comes out.
it's definitely going to be interesting because Mark made some stupid decisions this year that he now has to he has to use some magic here and there. Like, so he has a new avatar now. There's a new avatar system for Horizon. I know it's concept art, but there is a new Horizon avatar system now.
Yep.
You got to show it because you said it's going to be a thing. Then show us like what do you want to do with it? How is it going to work with eye tracking? With I know that that's a problem because they didn't think of that when they just posted it because they had to save their reputation.
But even does that would that satisfy you as somebody who's into if you've bought into the metaverse and you're like, okay, metaverse is coming, I know
I
digital
don't know.
ownership is coming.
Yeah.
What gets you excited that Mark and team unveil? Forget the headset for the second. We'll talk about the MetaQuest Pro in just a
Like
moment.
honestly,
Digitally,
this
like with the
company-
metaverse, what would get you excited, Nathan, about that?
I think like the social bit I find interesting, but not necessarily from Meta.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not like I'm not super excited about what Meta is gonna do at this moment. If we talk about metaverse related or virtual related things, no. But I think the social bit, you know, having your own like living room, kind of what you do in Rec Room right now, where you have your own house, you take things from places you explore to and you collect that and you invite friends and kind of have this almost like Animal Crossing VR vibe.
Bring back the Oculus Home good vibes we had, where you could kind
Well,
of have a digital
I mean,
place.
it had a pretty good standard, but more than that, I think that's gonna
Sure.
disappear. They might even announce this because we already saw. I don't know if you heard this, but Rift S is already there, kind of stripping things down now. Like the chat
Yep.
system is gonna go. I think we're gonna hear more at Connect about PC being even more of a, you know, cutting costs everywhere they can to kind of keep the company afloat.
That
I think
makes sense.
that's what this is all about. It's about like showing that they're really serious about this because what we've seen so far, it's kind of like you have no idea what you want to do with VR.
Yeah. And what about you, Rowdy? What would light your Bunsen burner? Metaverse wise, what could they say that would actually,
I mean,
get you interested?
like realistically, I think like what like the social aspect, of course, is something that you would expect from Facebook, them being a social media company. But like the past couple of years, they've been doing a large push regarding more like business oriented, like, trying to like get VR into the workplace. So I would welcome seeing something new, or like the thing that they've been working on in the past couple of years, since they already brought that up a couple of times where they want to bring VR in the workplace. Maybe see what the status is of that. I think that would excite me. I think that's realistic because they've been doing that in the past couple of years. So I would kind of expect that also with like, like the Quest Pro and these like more like prosumer aim devices, more for like a professional user. I think that is a little bit the direction that they want to go into as well. I don't think they're going to give up on gaming because they have such a strong position on that. But I do think that during the show that there's going to be a large emphasis on that.
Yeah. And like you were talking about Darshan, Nathan, it's got me thinking about something as well. So I guess I'm waiting, and maybe this could have happened last year and it could happen next year, but I am waiting for them to follow Apple in like the Apple TV model. They've dabbled in it, right, with various forms of like 360 content and that type of thing. I really think they're going to go for cinema at some point, get the big licensing deal, get real films to release and launch on your VR headset for a price, but that you would be able to watch it in that pseudo, virtual desktop style surround cinema, like your personal cinema, really polished. Again, thinking Apple, right, kind of experience, because they could make a lot of money that way, and it would appeal to your at-home consumer, because you're like, don't just watch on your TV, sit down and watch on your headset and, be immersed.
I mean, Meta has been like trying to keep the monopoly on the entertainment side of things. We know that Big Screen wants to expand, but they didn't allow them. And they also, price-wise of like tickets and everything, they had a whole like idea of that, but they didn't want it to go with it. So yeah, of course they want to, but yeah, if you think about it, they haven't really been innovating in that space. But I think as long as they don't build the social system that they are talking about for so long in the home menu, this kind of stuff can't happen. You have to first build something that is there. Right now, I know you can now meet up with other people.
Yeah.
But that's also, I found out that's regional too, because I tried this myself with a friend of mine. We couldn't meet up in our Oculus Quest menu. There was no option for me to do that.
Cross
so
regions.
As long as this is not like an actual worlds kind of thing, there's nothing it's not fun to socialize when I can only socialize when I'm in the US or in Canada, and the rest of the world's kind of like, yeah, like all these updates, all these social updates. I don't know. I gotta wait for it, and when they're finally out, it's already
That's
kinda
regulations,
late.
Of course, as well.
And
but that kills the social vibe. And as you said, it's a social company. But right now, there's nothing social about the Quest. You know,
I do wonder. Kept paying attention. Give it to me. So, what is the Meta Quest Pro? I'm using that name for a few reasons, but I'll keep coming through. So, standalone, all-in-one VR headset like the Quest, lighter form factor, color pass-through, eye and face tracking, and a price tag to sink the Titanic, which is expected to be more than $1,000. Display-wise, there's a resolution of 2160 by 2160 pixels per eye, which is a nice bump up from the existing Quest. Better underlying chip with frame rate boosts probably likely there. So, 120 hertz on some of the defaults within the Quest with the current processor. Could be going up to 144, something like that. Better battery, maybe, yet to be seen. And also in the ether, just for those wondering, is the Meta Quest 3. Again, proposed device that is not expected before next year, which would usurp the Quest 2 from the throne of the VR market, obviously the market leader at the moment, but sometime in 2023. So this event, right, Meta Connect, is in almost exactly 1 month. There's a website up for it, metaconnect.com. And it's VR's perhaps, most well-known VR only showcase. And the Quest Pro name was spotted on some WebXR access. So it does seem either it's a turncoat cover name, or it is the actual device name. Seems more the latter. One thing I wanted to pre-warn everybody about is, if you want to pre-order one of these pricey puppies, well, prime your bank account, have it bolstered ready for Mark's keynote, because it's likely that pre-orders were going to open at that time, and perhaps we'll see the headset shipping, late October or somewhere into November. And that's it. That's the headset that's coming. I mean, lads, where do you stand on? I mean, we talked about this a little bit last time, but I mean, is there anything else about the event that you're interested in, or things maybe that I've missed in the dev showcase side? Anything else that you want to kind of spot?
No, I don't think so.
I just hope they, because Brad already kind of spilled the beans on this headset. We already know pretty much everything by now.
Lovely 3D model. I love that.
Yeah.
Why doesn't, like, PlayStation, for example, release a CAD file with the headset? It'd be good for people who do accessories, because they need that information. And honestly, playing with a 3D model like that in VR or whatever is super cool. Super cool.
I just hope that, because that's always the problem every time, is like they introduce the Quest Pro, and they exactly tell us what it, of course, does, but also who it's for. And instead of kind of just showing some videos that don't really that kind of make up your own mind. I hope that they do that, because right now we already saw some teases here and there, also on social media. It's kind of like that classic example that HTC always does with their headsets. They
spinning
hype you
table
up from like up front, and they don't tell you if it's for you, the consumer, the prosumer, or the business, and they kind of just jump around those. But yeah, it's gonna be crazy expensive.
But you're right, though. Like, right now, to me, the unique selling point isn't so crystal clear on this headset. Like, maybe there's a company out there, who deals in architecture or something, and they're like, we need a higher fidelity headset that's lighter weight for our users, and they're just like chomping at the bit for this equipment.
Yeah.
But everybody else is just like, it's an upgrade like that. Is there?
I mean, looking at Meta's like reputation right now, it could be that they just like present this, but they also don't really know what they want to do with it. That's a
I hope-
possibility, right?
I
Like they
hope they
make
do.
something and they don't necessarily know where they, because one thing that stuck with me on like Brad's reports is that according to Brad, this should have launched last year, not this year. So we're already talking about a headset that is, well, not necessarily outdated, but was made
Out of cycle.
for a different, well, you know how fast tech moves, right? It's almost like last year was a different era compared to this year. So
I'll tell you what I
you
want.
can fill in the dots yourself, but that means something.
This is the announcement that I would pay attention to. I want Mark Zuckerberg in studded leather with that big ass box that we saw teased. He just thumps on stage in massive boots, lands the thing noisily on the table, cracks it open, whatever they get sparkles or whatever flying out of it, holds up the headset. You get the
And then
God
plays for
rays in.
3 hours straight. Like,
It plays it 3 hours straight. It's like, yeah, it would be so funny. But yeah, that's an alternate universe.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be clean cut, fixed, format, Apple-like presentation.
It's going to be very clean, very clean. If you're going to watch this for the games, I think we had the same conversation last year. I don't know how they did it. There were a few decent teases here and there.
Yep.
But it's you don't watch this for the. Of course, they now have their own like gaming show. Even then, you seem to get like coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. I just hope they say that Assassin's Creed is still being worked on because Splinter Cell is canceled now.
Yeah.
Also GTA San Andreas, you gotta say if you're working on it because people are now like, what's happening to this company? Are projects still happening? It's more about.
I do wonder how much of this is going to be for the gamer at home. Like, because as I said with F8, with that merger, it's going to be really developer focused. I think.
I mean, the last time we were there, we saw it being completely taken over by like business focused stuff. And we know that this year, we already kind of know what's coming, right? Like Among Us is coming, the new Boneworks game, a few others here and there. But I don't expect that much. Maybe they
in terms of big surprises, probably.
Yeah,
not. We'll see.
I think they just like everyone else, they just kind of have to keep the money in the wallet right now because winter is coming. So.
Well, the good thing is that, if you happen to have Zuckitis and you're not a fan of Megacorp number 1, well, what do we have here behind door number 2? Well, we've got Megacorp number 2, aka Apple, right? They just had their showcase recently, stoking the fires of a long drawn out dream that they'll enter the arena with their AR tech in the form of a consumer savvy premium AR headset. But no trace of VR. I saw a little blip of the Severance season 2 teaser for those who like that.
Yeah.
That show, that's kind of fun. But that's unfortunate. Well, fortunately, I think not related to any Apple tech, unless we're really living in a dystopian world where Apple have gone a step further and wish to ring fence their flavor of reality by separating our brains from real and virtual. Hopefully not. But so Apple, we're still waiting, and I think that'll be the case throughout the end of 2022. Unfortunately, you did. Yeah, of course. And then of course we got Megacorp number 3, right? So on September 15th, this coming Thursday, we have Tokyo Game Show, which is the third annual, I say the third annual event. That's since I've been tracking it, but this is an old event.
Yeah.
Old event. This is 26 years old. It first ran in 1996. I was going to ask you what year you were born, Nathy, but it's super
94.
old. Yeah, look, he was 2 years old when this thing started going. So you've got an explorable PC or VR explorable world. So you can do this from your desktop. You can do it from a VR headset between the 15th and 18th of September. Go check this out. Now, it's heavily focused on Japanese games. So games from Japanese developers and this and that. Go check out TGS. That's Tokyo Game Show VR.com. Nathan, you're an official ambassador, I read. So what's your take on this? And what the
it's
gamers
amazing.
and devs
It's amazing because I'm an ambassador, so everything is cool.
Cool. Do we get free anything free going in? Do we get an avatar? Do we get an NFT?
No, but I haven't.
What do you know about it?
I haven't really tried this yet because it's gonna open it's not like as an ambassador I had like early access. So I haven't tried this yet. So I
But previous
actually,
years, what about like, I
oh,
mean,
last year. I think I spoke about it on the show, right?
yep,
I think it was really cool because you could not only walk around and just because you pretty much start in the like the metro of Japan of
yep.
Tokyo, and then you go to the Tokyo Game Show, and then you get to pick an avatar. But the fun part is you have to visit certain places to collect stuff, and then you. I think you could unlock a T-shirt last year that you could wear, but
Yep.
it was almost like a gamified experience. That's why this year they have like a dungeon, so they continue doing that because I think the incentive for people to just walk around, they get bored after a while, and they're like, yeah, no, now I want to leave. But if you have to, if it says like 6 out of 10, and you need to find something, it's like I need to find everything now. So there's a bit more dedication there. There isn't that much VR as far as I know, so you're basically in VR checking out pancake stuff. So that's like a next level way of doing it.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can at least go and visit this and check it out, because I do think the fact that they at least try to create a convention in VR is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because they see it as, I suppose, a way of bringing people from home who can't travel in to be able to experience all of that, and it's a good place to put physicality to the arrangement of an environment. Like, I wonder if in the future we're going to have a ticketed event, for something like Connect, right? But you can get your virtual ticket and you can go explore the same show floor layout that you would if you went in person. So you still get kind of a similar feeling. And we've seen that in a few different events recently. So curious. It's this kind of idea of like parallel worlds. But the thing that pisses me off, honestly, is that you're not able to explore these things after the fact. Like once the door is shut, you can't go do them. There was a great one, which was a release, again, I think it was in Tokyo, or centered in Tokyo, for Magic the Gathering, a card game that I play a lot of. And like, because again, this was this region lock thing. I wasn't VPNing. I probably should have, but I couldn't get into it because it was outside of Asia. And it was like, I just want to look around and look at the artwork and enjoy it. And come on, guys. So I do, again, I implore people who create these things, if they're allowed to do it, try not to regionally gate it. We're a global community.
Yeah.
No, let us all in.
This is available for everyone. And it's nice that this time you can download it on App Lab, so you don't have to use the PC version necessarily. You can also play on PC, but you can just play it on the Quest. I think the best thing I've ever seen was from Devolver Digital, where you had to break into E3.
Break into?
Yeah,
I didn't hear about this
E3.
before.
This was a virtual game that you could download on Steam, and it was a shooter, and it was a stealth game. But you actually, it was like built in, I don't know, Unity or Unreal, but it looked super realistic. So you actually had to break into the entrance of E3. And if you have ever been there, you're like, I have been here. So you had to get past security robots. All the lights were like out. And then you would go to all the booths where there's no one there, but you were the only one. And then you sometimes got to play a little bit of that game. So that was a really nice, it wasn't VR though, but I think that's the best thing I've ever seen, where they gamify a convention that you can't go to. More
of that is definitely coming. Like I said, this parallel universe thing, like there'll be something special about the virtual one that they do that you can't do in person, and vice versa. I think they'll make them as like separate experiences but I do hope they don't do this time gated, I can only, look at it until Thursday thing. I really
but then there's no incentive to, like, let's say Gamescom,
to get in?
You could then why would you still go to Gamescom when it happens? And
so
then you could always go later.
The solution to that, I think, is like you do for like a live stream, take it offline for a month, right? So you want that news, you want to be there, then you have to be there. But after a month, you put it up so people can experience it as like a historic thing.
Also, I should be clear, because this is the thing I have to say all the time. It's very important. I am Tokyo Game Show VR ambassador. I am not ambassador for the physical one, okay? Yeah. Because if I don't say that, then
I was about to ask, like, there's something wrong with my tickets, Nathy? Like, what can you
Yeah, so those are two different things, okay? Just so you know.
So you're doing the help desk. We should just submit all the problems.
Just submit your problems. Go to youtube.com/NateVR.
Yeah, any of the comments, any of the videos, you're good. Yeah, just fire them in there. Well, there's another one as well. So coming up very shortly in London. So if you're like not near Tokyo, then maybe London's for you, right? So the consolation prize for today is London's EGX, which is the Electronic Games Expo. I've really enjoyed past events. Last year, had a really good time. I'll be a little bit light on the floor and almost no VR presence. Thanks, similar to like the pre-COVID times, it was pretty brimming. Last year they came back, but they were like half strength. So 1 year later, they're still kicking, and that's an event that's coming up. And to my surprise, they even announced a VR game spotlight. So catch them at EGX Theater Thursday, the 22nd of September at 3 p.m. UK time. Several of the games shown during the spotlight will be playable on the show floor as well. So if you have tickets, don't miss the Thursday. Or if you've not taken work off or whatever yet, make sure you can scoot along to that. Their little blurb on this is, experience the future of VR gaming with a showcase featuring teasers, trailers, and live on-stage gameplay demos for some of the most exciting upcoming VR titles. I almost guarantee you that Among Us is going to be among those titles. So that's that. There's also one other thing that's kind of particularly neat, which was new to me. So one particularly neat event that's coming up is an augmented reality sport called HADO. And HADO puts the power of energy balls and shields in the hands of players on a real-life court.
Seen that one.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of these, actually. This one's been around a few years, and I didn't know that. So while the rules are simple, the depth of offensive and defensive strategy, they're saying, is infinite. That's bullshit. But, HADO redefines the landscape of sports to push athletes further than anyone would have thought possible. So they got to focus on kind of like racquetball style combat, 2v2, 3v3 on a court. The good thing is that anyone can mount their headsets. Their headsets look like a Samsung Gear, but very weird. The sides are open. I've never seen a headset like this where you can look out with your physical eyes, or you've got the screen to give you kind of your heads-up display. You play in a quick fire game. The team with the most points at the end wins. The way it works is each player has a shield with 4 segments. You're throwing energy balls. You got to knock the 4 segments off. After you knock all 4 segments, you get a point for your team. That's how it works.
Right,
that's how it works.
Like dodgeball AR.
Yeah, like dodgeball AR. And it's funny because one of the co-creator, he's like, growing up, I always wanted to do a Kamehameha myself, just like Dragon Ball Z. So I made this, right? And then it became a sport that people participated in. But I really do believe in this future. I do think that we're going to end up with a place where, instead of going to a gym with boring equipment, you end up with something that's an augmented experience, whether that means VR or AR. I've tried a few. They've all been pretty good. But the important thing is, do you end up working out harder than you normally do? Anyone who's played Beat Saber knows, most of the time you end up actually putting more energy in than you normally would if it was not an augmented or VR experience. So there you go. Those are some events that will let you sink your holodeck feet into some new equipment and games. Just a quick recap for the dates so you don't scramble those up in your head. First up, we've got September 15th. That's the Tokyo Game Show VR. So go log in with your headset. Then September 22nd is EGX out of London. So watch news feeds if you're not in the UK. And then October 11th is MetaConnect coming up in October, along with the purported launch of their headset. There's that.
Very nice. Very nice.
Looking forward to this. We've got some news coming our way. Like even though it's felt like a slow season, there's plenty still coming.
And I'm thinking like an hour from now, isn't Ubisoft also doing like their kind of show? I think it's like an hour from now.
Yes.
With VR stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like we don't know, but they should be working on VR stuff. No,
they should be, to Nathan's point, right? So maybe in an hour. Okay, that's it. We've got 55 minutes to close this podcast. Let's go. All right. Next up, developer Praydog, well known for Resident Evil mods for 2, 3, 7, and 8, is now porting the Resident Evil engine framework over to Unreal Engine. So additional games now being able to be supported, which is good. The mod brings in-engine 6-DoF movement. So that's kind of what you would expect now if you're playing any game in VR. Synced stereoscopic 3D, and an important one for first-person shooters, detached look from weapons. So you're not just stuck to the gun like you are in, now very old VR games. You can move your head around. So if you want to support this effort, go check out Praydog's Patreon. But this is a software dev who's been in the business for more than a decade. As I said, had some lovely mods for Resident Evil previously, now porting the work over to help hopefully become a little bit more generic, right? And you have some other titles out there. The video trailer that was launched along with this news, sports Stray. So that's the game with the cat wandering through the city. We got Back for Blood, which was the successor, the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, and Satisfactory, that building game that the creator behind Minecraft Notch has a big heart on for. But you could build like crazy machines in that. I'll tell you what, when I saw this news, there's only one game that really stood out to me, and I was like, please let this work with Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. I want to play that in VR. Screw you, Microsoft, right? That's what I want, please. You make that work for me?
Yeah.
I'm a happy cookie. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. You guys have anything in the Unreal Engine world that you really think you'd want if this works well?
Nah.
I think it's hard to say. Like, I have no idea like which games are specifically. I know like worlds that I want to visit in like in VR, but like I have no idea like what kind of games. Like I'll probably have to look at a list.
This is the problem. Once you bury yourself in VR for long enough, it's hard to even come up with. Like I had difficulty myself. I had to search around. And I'm sure, Nathan, I know your injector years are kind of behind you, right? So
yeah.
But once upon a time, you were the VorpX man, right? Before.
I was the VorpX man. No, I was the VorpX man, but I did play a lot of things. I always think that like third person is kind of interesting because then you just don't have that big hand with a gun in your view and it's kind of attached to your face, like it's taped onto your face. But I think always like third person still gives kind of a little bit more magic than when it's first person.
I agree. Like what Rowdy's saying, the landscape, the environment, like being in that world. Like Lost Ember was one recently that had a VR patch natively that came out, and that world was really cool. But it was third person, and you were like flying little ducks and all this kind of stuff.
Or Goat Simulator 3 is also an option.
I didn't even know we were on number 3 already. They really need to stop.
Or Moving Out 2 is also a great game to maybe play in VR.
Moving Out, is that the one where you have to play team wise and? Yeah, moving furniture. So it's like
There's a new one coming.
It's like Overcooked, but with furniture.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's another option. Very good. Okay. Well, let's get on to the one that, I mean, let's be honest. Some news is better than other news, and Squad. Some news makes me buy very expensive hardware. That is also true. And that news, my friends, is that Firewall Ultra is coming, announced by seasoned developer First Contact Entertainment, a standalone re-release of Firewall with improvements for PS5 and PSVR2. This news just got me super, super, super excited. I am a huge fan of Firewall. There's been not a single thing so far that has been in the PSVR2 launch lineup that has excited me as much as this one. For those who don't know what Firewall is, Firewall 0 Hour, the first title, was released an astonishing 5 years ago, August 28th, 2018. There were a series of contractors to choose from. This is a first-person game, somewhat similar to like a Rainbow Six. Each character that you choose has a primary and a secondary skill that you can pick, which modifies your combat, gives you perks, that type of thing. Weapon loadouts were customizable. You could earn crypto in-game for unlockables, things like skins and stuff like that. Kept the game kind of fresh and interesting as you were playing week on week. You could choose to play against enemy AI or in a real 4-player squad. So it was an 8-player match that you had. And the first thing you do in the game is you hack into a firewall, hence the name, and you figure out where a data extract point is. You navigate there with your teammates, try not to get killed in the process, extract the data, and get some money at the end. So really cool. In the new trailer for the new Firewall Ultra, I like to think of it as a polished re-release. They talk about solo and team strike. So it sounds like we're getting solo and multiplayer. Whether or not that means there's going to be any campaign in there, I don't know. I'll hold back. It's probably going to follow the model of the first game.
Do you think they have to?
I don't think they have to. I think if they did, it would be like possibly a nice to have. Like, again, I like the Squadrons model to have something there for single player, but very few PSVR games, I think, can stand up.
Actually,
like Firewall.
Actually, if you look at the comments on the Twitter post, there was one person who said, like, is this multiplayer only? And First Contact Entertainment actually replied to that, and they mentioned, you're gonna love the new PvE experience. We've thought a lot about players that don't do multiplayer as well.
Yes. So, but that's a little different than the campaign that I was talking about. So I don't know yet what PvE is going to be. I assume it's going to be kind of corridor shooter, A to B, right? Extract mission, maybe a VIP thing, or.
But I think, like, looking at the success of the first one, it doesn't need a campaign. And I also think that if they did do a campaign, and they would have like listened to, I think, the minority who wants to play these types of games, who don't care about a campaign. It's kind of like Rainbow Six, you know, that I think it's fine. And I think if they would have done it, then the folks would have been more spread out. I think they could now really polish what they already had.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be super sick, because they had they have completely focused on the multiplayer aspect of this.
I think that's what they've done as well. And I say it because this is the same developer who released Solaris. That was another game for First Contact Entertainment.
Rest in peace in the first week after launch.
It was, well, a couple of weeks, but yeah, it wasn't many.
I really enjoyed that one, though. I thought that was great. It was a really fun game.
They rushed it to market. That's what happened.
I'm praying a little bit that this will give them, if they are exceedingly successful in their second title, that maybe they would bring that back from the dead and relaunch on PSVR2. But they have to release it at the right time for that to take foot, because you need the players, right?
I think you do need something more now if you want to launch that, because this game was perfect for Quest 2, but now we're talking about PlayStation VR2, and that audience is way more demanding and expects something higher class than what the Quest audience wants.
It just needs more. Again, it's kind of like the Pop 1 model. It just
that was
needs
their plan,
more
right?
to bring people back. It was, but it ran out of steam real fast. It just was, timing was very poor for that release. The game was cool.
They were competing with Population 1 coming to Quest, and they had to or wait it out or launch it right
or
before
jump
that.
early.
It didn't go well, but yeah.
No, it didn't. Remember, like the left hand was stuck on the gun. Things that like a PC player are like, what are you doing?
It was really fast paced. It was a really fun game, but we just played it for a few weeks, and that's it. That was Solaris in a nutshell. Yeah. But dude, like, imagine this with eye tracking.
No, like eye tracking,
with face haptics, with haptic feedback.
4K HDR, like the lighting is going to be that much
with controllers
more
that
impressive.
Don't drift while you're aiming down your sights.
Yeah,
the thing is, like, we saw in the chat a couple of people asking as well, is this still going to be like with the aim controller? Which I don't think it will be. But it's a good question though. Like, how much of the fun that you had, especially you, Sim, because I think you played it the most, was attributed to it being with the aim controller?
Honestly, the aim controller was it was both a point of satisfaction, but to the point Nathan was just making, also a point of frustration, because it was tracked by that little blue light at the end of the ball. You'd have to, on a regular basis in Firewall, do the wiggle. You'd have to do the aim controller wiggle to get it to kind of track itself purposefully. So although the kick in the door, detonations, team combat, people, shooting at you from behind you, like just how amazing and immersive that game felt, I regularly would get pulled out because of the aim controller, because of the tracking mechanism. So given that we're now swapping that around and the headset works similar to a Quest inside out, I really can't wait to have a more unhindered experience. And they've taken tips from the community's desires. So now, instead of just being single run, it'll be best of 3. So you'll crew up, you'll get with people, you get to play a longer match, because it felt like 50% of the time you were waiting for a lobby. You'd get the lobby, there were the players there, but then you were kind of getting into the groove, and then the game's over. So I really like that aspect. I think that's a super idea. The PvE experience, we don't know what that's going to be like, but that's coming. They talked about the VR2 Sense technology with the PlayStation. Nathan mentioned a few of those, vibrating headset. And then they've also talked about, they said, like, okay, this is the game that's coming. We can expect it to look like Firewall when it's released. So it'll be Firewall upgraded, better visuals, of course, thanks to the headset. They'll have retextured it and that type of thing. But they've got a content roadmap as well. So you might remember, if you're a Firewall player, Post 15, they landed an awesome map, which was this newsroom, which was super cool to just attack. Black Site, which was this desert camp. An oil rig, which was an oil platform. And they kept coming with good new solid content. They're bringing new contractors in. They kept releasing new guns. I remember the Kruger being one. Manta Ray, which I never got to unlock, which I was sad about. But it's one of those games like After the Fall that I love the game. I just don't get enough time in my life to kind of play it.
But like,
so
also building good maps is an art on itself. We had a lot of shooters who have very generic maps, but building a good, if you nail a good map, people keep playing. I mean, that's kind of like having Battlefield Operational Locker. People still play this. It's like so ancient, but people still want to play that thing because it's so satisfying for everyone to check it out because it's balanced, right? Now, I think it's very cool that it's coming. I think the name Ultra says enough about that. This is going to be.
They should have named it Firewall 24 Hour.
And I do honestly think they are going to make an accessory that is like a gun thing again, because it does kind of fit the PlayStation, like, you know, playing golf with like a plastic stick. I mean, that's been PlayStation in a nutshell.
It has ever since the iToy.
You know, also had pool and you know,
what would work really well if the I don't know where the charging is on those, if there are any contacts necessary, but
yeah, you could click the controls into
you could click them into a stock.
I think it would be the best option.
Stock could have weight to it, which means it could have battery, which means you could charge while you play. That could be amazing, right?
I think that would be. I think it would be cheaper to do it that way, because if they build a new one with also haptic triggers, especially now, like, I don't think that would work. But there are just a lot of games that were just unique to having this aim controller. Almost like, okay, I'm happy I got this. Not enough games. I think there weren't enough of them. I mean, Firepoint was also great on the. But yeah, like, think about it now. This aim control is also partly just a solution to the shitty tracking.
Did you just say Firepoint isn't so great, Nathan?
I love that game.
Firepoint is great.
Yeah. I'll take your spleen.
I didn't like the other game though. The other one was a disaster. What was the game again? What was the name?
No, you mean Frostpoint.
Larsenals.
Larsenals.
The Firepoint devs made that.
No. Did they make that?
Yeah, they made that.
I didn't.
Sadly, they made that.
Sadly, yeah.
Sadly, very sadly,
that's outside the
very
comfort
sadly.
zone. Let's come back. Let's do what you're good at. Yeah, but no, they are very good at map making. I agree.
This is once again, like, I think this shows like this is a killer title for the PlayStation VR2, a big gem, and this is why I'm like the most excited about PlayStation than anything else.
It's horrible.
It's just I just can't help it. Sorry, Meta, but I'm totally PlayStation on the PlayStation side.
Yeah,
now.
but this is like a personal problem for me, because I'm like, I even calculated the Canadian tax. I'm like, okay, how much is it going to run me for the digital edition? Can't be that bad. It's like 600 Canadian dollars for the thing. I'm like, oh god. And you go to Best Buy or whatever, it's like sold out. So you're gonna have to hunt it down. Then you're gonna have to lose a kidney, and then you have to lose another kidney when they launch the headset.
Then
you can play for roughly like 12 hours without like a dialysis.
God. But the problem is, gamers know this, you're going to hunt the experience. You know, when you feel that experience and you're like, damn, that's good. That's it. You'll, as Rowdy, you said it last podcast, people will remortgage their home for this kind of shit. It's so good, right? And I'm scared that you might see me disappear when this lands. So.
Honestly, if you still have some money, then make a decision now, because the thing is, everything is going to be so it's already expensive. Like right now, I think it's already tricky to make these decisions. But let's say you do have some, then decide now, because this stuff, everything basically, is going to be insanely expensive.
Oh, and if you're a scalper and you're listening,
that's why we don't know about prices. That's why we don't know how much the Quest Pro is gonna be. That's why we don't, because they keep them away, because they constantly have to add like $5 a day to them, because otherwise it doesn't make up for the the production or whatever they have going on. No, but that's true. It's happening.
Launch at 500, launch at 600. No, you're absolutely right.
Let me give you a great example. Like last week, I bought a washing machine and a fridge. And I asked the guy.
He's growing up, people. He's growing up.
He's growing up. He's our man.
yeah, like adult stuff. It's super boring stuff to buy. Like one of my friends was like 12, who said like, "Why are you buying that stuff?" So like, that's what adults do. They buy washing machines. But what I was asking
one of
this
your
guy,
friends,
like,
he's 12. Wait.
Yeah, he's 12. No, that sounds. But in Rec Room, all my friends are 12, because that's the age demographic of the game. No, but you get my point. But what I'm trying to say here is that I was asking this guy, so like, so how more expensive is going to be when I buy this the next month? He said like, it goes up by 8%.
Every month. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I'm not sure how much percentage it's going to be for the PlayStation VR2 that we don't know the price of, but I do know it's going up in price. That's what I do know. So,
well, even banks are upping their rates and stuff. We're not going to get into that annoying stuff.
No, but buy a PlayStation 5 now because next month's going to be even more expensive. That's what I'm trying to say.
Buy your PlayStation VR headset right now.
No, you can't. That's the problem. You can't. But you can buy the PlayStation 5.
If the VR2 has, like, the thing is, the first one, you just bought the headset. This one will probably come with controllers, right? And so the price for the total of them, it's probably going to be like $450, or it's going to be almost the price of a new console. It's going to be hard.
It's going to be more now, yeah.
And it's exactly can keep. Anyway, I agree with you that like you should start.
Coming.
Yeah, winter is coming with the white headset that's going to take away your bank. Oh God! All right, so that's good. That's all the main news now. So next we're into the release spotlight with Lieutenant Nathy. There are some titles which will get a Medal of Honor. Others dismissed with dishonorable discharge. Devs don't stand on ceremony here. We welcome assaults on the beachhead of VR's various storefront shores. So if you want to call out your latest wartime efforts, please do. Nathy, go on. Give us the full debrief and tell us if the enemy is closing in.
Yeah, okay. So surprisingly enough, there are some releases.
Hey!
A few decent ones, I wanted to say. And also intriguing ones. And we're going to start with like an interesting and intriguing one straight away. Right. And that one is called Librarium. Now, Zim, what do you think Librarium is all about?
I've seen the movie Secretary, and I don't think it's going to have the same plot as that. I kind of was hopeful for a second there. Librarian. I'm going to guess it's time travel.
Wait, there was a movie called Librarian too, right? Like the series of like this guy, like the librarian, I think.
I know Labyrinth.
I'm talking about Librarium.
Librarium.
Yeah.
Librarian.
Anyways, let me explain. So this game is now out. Well, it's not really a game. Well, it is a game, but it's also an app and it's also an experience. It's now out on Quest 2. It's $20, 20 euros, $20. And Librarium, according to their store page, because I have not tried this, is a educational app that allows you to study from within VR. You can learn a new language, for example, do high school level science, university entry exams, medical school, or certification. The developers of Librarium have partnered with Kaplan. I don't know if you know this, but this is a company that provides educational and training services to schools. So basically they made the developers made the shell, an educational shell, and they needed to fill it up with content that they got from Kaplan. So that's kind of how they work together. Very smart. So Librarium makes use of virtual reality memory palace, a technique to help you learn faster and more effectively by associating ideas with objects in space that activate a whole new part of your brain. Yes, so you can even create this is the most gimmicky part of it. You can create flashcards on your mobile phone and upload them to the app. Well, I'm like, why can you not just make them in VR? But
no, that's
to
smart.
kind of have this social thing going on when there are people outside of your headset.
Interesting.
Oh, so you could have a study buddy. You could have a study buddy
writing. That's kind of what they're going for.
This is actually by concept. It's kind of cool. So this is out already.
This is out already. Yeah.
Librarium.
Yeah, Librarium.
Yeah, it's funny because you said Mind Palace, because that's exactly where I went with my. That's funny, but like as an educational app, you remember we saw that one which was like the life of a developer, but was all office politics. That's where I thought we were going with this one, but
Mind Palace in general is a technique that people use in order to memorize specific things. Like for example, those people that can like cite like 400 numbers after pi or whatever, they do that with a technique often called memory palace, where they associate the number with a specific place and they walk through their own memory palace, and then with each specific thing they associate a number as they walk through it. I don't think it's something that is really useful for like learning specifically, unless you're really trying to memorize things in general.
And Rowdy, if we were in your memory palace right now, would you be clearing the browser history?
I'm doing it right now. You can see the blank stare on my face.
Yeah, I was like, be emotionless. Don't let them on. Let them on.
Yeah, so
That's a good one.
this is out on Quest 2, and as I said, it's $20.
$20.
$20. No, wait a
Ah,
second. Did I say $20? Yeah, I did say $20. 20 euros. Yes, for now that is.
22 euros.
Yeah.
23.
As we
8%
speak,
more
in an
next
hour it's
month.
gonna be low, but yeah. Okay, so there you go.
Good.
That's
Good.
the educational one. Very interesting, right?
It's interesting.
Especially it coming out now. Then we have Into the Radius. This is now out on Quest 2 as well, completely standalone. It's 30 euros, $30. I wanted to write a whole story about this, but since Zim has played this, he can give us a short, rapid-fire introduction of why you should maybe play this game. Because as far as I know, it's actually quite solid. They really redeemed themselves. I think at the start it was
Yes.
kind of a wasteland, kind of sandboxy thing, but
That's right.
now it's like a decent ass game to play on Quest 2.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think it depends on what you like, but it certainly attracted a lot of people who like the game DayZ because it has a mechanism for its guns very similar to DayZ. You're loading individual bullets into magazines, magazines into the gun. So that's just the mechanics of it. But you have a whole bunch of different like pieces of equipment that you have. Separate to that, you also have like a cohesive story that you're following, but it actually steps away from me a little bit from where they started off. They started open world, and open world was quite good. I enjoyed that experience, but you have these little like dog tags that you throw, and you throw the dog tag, and then you'll see a shimmer of what looks like, I don't know, a dodecahedron or something. And if you get near that, you die. So the idea is you're throwing these little, I forget the names of them, but say you're throwing a bullet or you're throwing a little flag, and it causes these triggers, these little rifts, and you try to avoid those as you're navigating this world. It looks to me like it's not far flung from some burnt out Soviet nation or something, right? And the actual kind of horror or suspense element, you've got these people who were, I don't know if they were, I never got to the end of it, so I don't know if they were killed, but they're like ghosts, white ghosts with like white pieces, almost like a white puzzle piece that just fragment or appear in certain places. Very similar to the game Fear. If anyone remembers Alma and the game Fear back in the day, it certainly gave me vibes of that. But I would say if you're into FPSs, this is one to check out because it's got great gun mechanics. It's quite suspenseful, but just be aware, like Half-Life Alyx, it's very like soulless, downtrodden, heavy, right? It's a heavy environment. And if you don't like that, if you go to VR for happy time, that's not this. And the enemies can be quite terrifying. There are these black masses that look like a graphical error, and they wriggle and they writhe and they jump at your screen. And yeah, it can be a scary game at times. So if you're really looking for a challenging FPS with a story that you probably haven't played elsewhere, Into the Radius. There you go.
Yeah, so you can use discount code happy times with Jim to get 50% off.
Yeah, but it's 50% off your medication. It's not the game. They want full price for the game.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So yeah, that's Into the Radius, out now on Quest 2. Yeah, it's like I don't mention Quest 1 anymore. It's dead.
It's dead.
It's gone.
Yeah, sad. So next up we have Intercosmos 2000. Yes, it's a cool name.
Yeah.
So this also launched, is actually out now on Quest 2. Price $20, 20 euros. And well, this is a arcade space flight game in VR for virtual astronauts of all ages. So Rowdy, you can play this too. Inspired by real world space travel.
I'll ask my 12-year-old friends as well.
Hey, Viper's not here.
Great.
Oh,
Great. So rec room players, if you are watching this, you can play this game as well. So Intercosmos 2000 is a game where you are at the helm of your very own tin can, and all you got to do is keep it afloat. That's the main goal of this title. I thought it was something else like finding ET or finding home phone, but no, it's just that you need to just survive. So you get to experience the intense acceleration of spaceflight explore awe-inspiring interiors of realistic space capsules. That's very specific if you're into that. But it really said that on the page, funny enough. And master crucial systems that will keep you in orbit and breathing. That's also very, very important. So this new version, because Intercosmos was already a game before on Steam, a PC VR game. You kids remember PC VR? Yeah, it used to be the most thing ever. So it was already out. This is a new version, and they pretty much improved it and they ported it over to Quest 2. It has more challenges, more stunning visuals. Funny, I'm like, visuals, I thought like PC had the visuals, but apparently they have more stunning visuals and more hours of replayability than ever.
Hey.
Yes.
Very cool.
Solid game, that one. Yep.
Yeah. So again, €20, $20 out now on Quest 2, Intercosmos.
Everyone's going for 20. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Last but not least, now I am a little bit worried about this one, but the reviews were quite positive, frankly. So maybe I'm just wrong here. I'm wrong all the time on this podcast. It's just that I find that out always like a few shows later. But unless you guys say I need to eat a head strap, then it's usually I'm right, because then there's some.
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird, isn't it? Like anytime you put something up for a bet, then it turns out true.
Yes.
Inside information. I don't believe it.
Maybe, yeah, that's why I'm always making predictions, because I already know the answer. Yeah, that would be funny. I sometimes do that. It's the best part, where I know something you guys don't, and I'm like, nah, it's not gonna happen. And then meanwhile, I know everything already.
We know. Yeah.
Although I do usually give a little spoiler. It's like, okay, I know something.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's going to be a little awkward.
I don't remember spoilers around the Quest. I remember the Quest 2 launch was pretty cool that way, but I don't.
That was just a big smile on my face.
So what is this? What is this just potentially disappointing release?
We're already giving it way
on
too much
YouTube.
credit.
On YouTube, it is classified as Half-Life Alyx, but that's already been out native for quite a while. So I don't know.
I see. Okay, so this one is called Aeolia, and it's out now on Quest 2 as well. Everything is out on Quest 2. I'm sorry for everyone else who was hoping to play something on their headsets. So this one is €15, $15. Aeolia is a hand-tracking, single-player fantasy adventure.
Wow.
And this is where you start to doubt a little bit, and part of the Rhythm of the Universe series. Now, do you still remember what happened when that game came out?
Rhythm of the Universe.
Rhythm of the Universe. Yes, that was before this came out, and it didn't have the best reviews. It was very rough. It was also super short. I don't remember the rest, but it just wasn't well received. Anyway, so it's a part of that. So if you already go to their store page, they just pretty much expect you to have played the other one. And that's smart, because then they can sell the other one to you. Right? So in this game, you get to travel to the deserts of Aeolia as Konga Dolak. Do you know Konga Dolak?
Yes, of course. It's the one from the universe, Rhythm of the Universe.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you played it. A Modus determined to save the land from the Great Storm. Remember the Great Storm, Rowdy? It was really...
Yeah, that was also in the... Yeah,
I think it wasn't...
the Rhythm of the Universe.
Sim, you were in a storm too. Now, that storm you tried to escape in Canada, that was a Great Storm.
That's right. They wouldn't let me out.
That was a whole marketing campaign. That was just they created that to sell the game.
All right.
Yes. No, that's not true. But hey, it has an epic story, mysterious puzzles, and it's all hands first. Yes, because it's a hand-tracking game. So you can walk around with your hands and interact with everything around you.
Whoa. You can walk with your hands? You mean like Gorilla Tag style?
You pinch, and then with your pinch, you can just kind of go left and right, and it starts to go that direction. So it creates a circle in front of you, and within that circle you can move your hand with a little sparkly thing, and you move that way.
Oh no.
According to Eric Hartley, it's about 5 to 7 hours long, and you don't have to have played
the previous ones.
Aeolia at all. Is that maybe how the previous one is called? Yes. Because it's a completely different game.
Okay. Well, the whole description of this game was only talking about what happened in the previous, so for me, it was kind of strange to figure out what this was all about. But yeah, overall, people are very positive about it. So it's one of the first real hand tracking games that isn't necessarily a gimmick, is actually quite solid. The movement system is quite interesting too. So
It looks cool.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I mean, I'm not big into the
game.
puzzling stuff, so that's probably already where I tap out. But the universe, like it looks cool. Like that stuff. Yeah.
No, rhythm of the universe.
I want to know who at Meta has put up a bounty for hand tracking, because clearly there has been there's like a waterfall of these like hand tracking built for hand tracking games. Some of the bigger studios are teasing or have released stuff, and I'm just like, okay, people are going after it. Usually that means someone's held up some fruit and said, if you go build a game for this, we'll give you $100,000, or something like that. So
I think this was still in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Somewhere, but
no, it's interesting. I think there's probably only been one or two is this hand tracking only, or is it?
As far as I know, it is
Yeah.
hand tracking only. Yeah.
Yeah. So hand tracking only is difficult because you don't get to feel stuff. You don't get the pushback of the buttons. You don't get the haptics of the controller. It's difficult.
The reason why I'm laughing is because I saw Chris Richards saying it sounds like Nathy is saying areola, which would be a different hand tracking experience.
No, exactly. That's all I heard the whole time.
Really?
And then you start pushing
clear
buttons and like you need the feedback. You need the feedback.
He's teaching those 12. I've got to stop this 12-year-olds thing. Okay. Very good. Well, can you recap for us, Nathan? What were these releases?
I will not speak about the last one anymore because I'm getting bullied on the show.
You are getting
So we have Librarium, the educational app, on Quest 2, €20, $20. Basically, everything is out on Quest 2. Okay, there's nothing anymore on other headsets.
Just check the store.
Quest 2. Just check the store. Yeah. Then we have Intercosmos 2000. A arcade spaceflight game for the entire family. And then we have Into the Radius.
Into the Radius. Yep.
Zim sold it to you. So you have to play it now. If we find out that he's a developer later down the road, then this explains his whole excitement. So that one is out on Quest to €15, $15.
Yep.
And then the last one, should I say it one more time? Or
Yeah, go for it.
Aeolia.
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 Very good, Nathy. Very good.
€15, $15 on Quest 2. So there you go. Those are all the releases. Not bad at all, I would say. A bit of a weird timing to launch some of these. As they like especially the last one is pretty high production value, I would say. But maybe the whole holiday season is kind of reserved for other developers by now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I'm worried that Halloween's around the corner. We usually get
although last year wasn't so bad in terms of
last year wasn't bad at all. It was almost
there was not much
completely
there.
naked of. I think maybe VR devs have learned the lesson. We will shortly find out.
What was the one again with where you would stand in the mirror, but like the Bloody Mary one, where you had to speak in your microphone and summon this ghost, and then it was standing behind you?
I don't know.
You remember that?
I remember it, but I don't think I played that one.
That's the worst kind of Halloween content is when you look into a mirror and you see something happening behind you, and then you turn around and it's or there or it isn't there.
You should play that in your bathroom.
Yes,
well,
maybe.
You could do that. The other thing is that pass through black and white, I think would be perfect for a horror AR experience. I really do. And we saw some of that stuff.
Jason Voorhees or Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of thing, and it comes into your house.
I'd take any of that. Yeah, I think it would be cool. So someone's probably building it, but I'm curious. Maybe we'll get a Halloween AR experience at some point. Well, thank you, Nathy, for running us through the releases this fortnight, this week. It's hard to say, losing the track of time. But like the finale of the film Platoon, perhaps this didn't finish like you imagined it would. Perhaps you're a little disturbed, disgruntled, disorganized without your much needed distraction from reality. If we haven't left you dumbfounded, then drop your questions in chat now while I recount the show times. So thank you for listening to this episode of FReality. We live stream on alternating Saturdays on both YouTube and Twitch. The show is bleeding out from 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. in the UK. God save the Queen. and 8 p.m. for our brave brothers and sisters defending proud
it's not
Ukraine.
Save the Queen. It's not Save the Queen.
You can still say that. You're still
Yeah,
allowed.
You can still say that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's
You'll be with us forever.
exactly. You can't take her off the money. Not yet. It's too soon. So if you missed the live cast or simply don't have the bandwidth for this band of brothers, instead listen to the audio version, which airdrops midweek on Spotify, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Beautiful.
Upvote if you liked it. Apply scathing burns in the comments if you didn't. And while you're at it, a subscription to FReality may have been his scientifically proven to help the war effort. So it's time for us to zipline back into the unknown and grab some beers with Sylvester Stallone. Didn't mean to make that rhyme. What have we got in chat? Anyone asking anything? How we doing?
Just wondering when you will release Mike.
Yeah, we've got him in that cage that was at the start of the Planet of the Apes VR experience. He's still stuck in there. We'll see. We'll see when he's out of that.
Well, he still makes videos on YouTube where you shove like food under the door from
No,
time
no,
to
no,
time,
no.
and we
These
give
are
him
like
game keys that he can.
Those were pre-recorded.
this pre-recorded.
Oh,
Yeah.
pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Or is that like an AI version of Mike that we now also hire?
Shh.
Just
You can't
oh,
let
sorry.
play that down.
She will say.
All right, so we've come to the end. Go on. Tell my wife I love her, and someone write my eulogy, please. I hope you will. Get it? Will. All right, enough dad jokes. An arcade bar is calling me from Toronto. Say au revoir, gentlemen.
Say bye-bye.
Or
Bye-bye.
out.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you.
Bye.
See you next time.